Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live session titled The Media Quality Checklists. How does that lead to ROI for brands in India? Today's webinar and live session has been brought to you by etbrandability.com in partnership with Double Verify. We have all seen how the digital advertising ecosystem in India has grown rapidly in the last few years. And however, this increase in the digital spending and have really led advertisers to demand more transparency on where their ads are preparing or are appearing in the digital medium. A 2019 survey from Harris Poll and Double Verify found that the majority of consumers considered it critically important that a brand advertises on a content-safe environment, which is accurate and trustworthy. In fact, nearly 90% of consumers felt that brands bear responsibility for ensuring their ads run beside safe content. So demanding quality as the baseline for campaign success makes an ad more likely to perform better, and especially when the right consumer is shown the right ad. So today in this session, we'll speak with key stakeholders in the industry and who have been leading their marketing function for their respective brands and understand better on how they're ensuring media quality, ensuring brand safety, and battling ad fraud in this fast evolving digital landscape. It's my great honor today that I have been joined by a panel of experts who have been leading their brands to beautiful brand stories over digital media. Introducing Mr. Pramod Patil, Vice President and Head of Media at Kotak Mahindra Bank. Mr. Adil Sanwari, Head Digital Media and Transformation India Region at HP. Mr. Vinod Thadani, Chief Digital Growth Officer at Dentsu Media Group, and Mr. Nachiket Dioli, Head of Sales India at Double Verify. So welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for taking out time and basically helping us gauge the importance of media safety and brand safety, when it comes to digital advertising. So before we start this panel and before we start this discussion and go deep into understanding the nuances of the subject, I would really want to invite Nachiket on stage and request him to share his thoughts on the influential role of verification in the advertising world. This will really help us set context for the discussion going forward. So over to you, Nachiket.
Thank you, Satyajit, and welcome everyone. What a wonderful day to have this conversation. It couldn't have been better. It's the first day of Navratri, and we all can feel the festive vibes around, right? So lovely to have everyone here. I'm just sharing on my screen. I hate to run through the slides during panel discussion, but I won't take much time, hardly 5 minutes, so that we are all aligned and understand what we're going to discuss today. So quickly, just a minute on what Double Verify does. So we are a trusted partner for ad verification for major global brands. And what it really means is we authenticate the quality and effectiveness of digital media for the marketers. How we do that, I'll just talk about it as we go along. But what essentially it means for marketers is getting more clarity and confidence in the digital space or in their digital budgets and digital buys, right? And clarity and confidence is extremely critical to further build more importance of the medium, as well as drive better ROI for the media budgets that the marketers are spending on this medium, right? But before we do that, right, imagine a scenario when you are in the market going off to buy some oranges, right? Whatever oranges that you are plugging in, you are buying, you feel that all of them are the best quality oranges, right? But we all know when we go back at home, some of the oranges turns out to be spoiled oranges, right? It's never an intention to buy spoiled oranges, but that's how it is, right? That's the reality of the state. And if you draw parallels to what's happening in digital buying today, it's the same case, right? All the brands, all the agencies want the best for their clients and for their brands, right? We want to buy the best of the inventory. But eventually what happens is media quality somewhere gets compromised, right? And historically, what we've seen is approximate 10% of online ads turn up in an inappropriate content, right? Which is massive. 1/3 of digital investments can be eroded by non-human traffic, right? Imagine your impressions are not even seen by a real person, right? And we all know the state of viewability in India as well as globally, right? 50% of the ads are not even seen, right? They don't have even an opportunity to see. So we all know that these are the real issues. And if the ad is not been seen by a real human, it's in brand unsafe environment, it's not even an opportunity to see for the consumers, then eventually it's going to impact your brand, your campaign performance and your brand scores, right? Which is the key issue that's impacting the performance as well as incremental budgets on this particular medium, right? While we all know it's measurable, but how we can measure that is the critical question. And that's how we do it, right? So how do we improve media quality? And what are those components of media quality that one needs to look at? So we at DoubleVerify firmly believe that every single impression must be quality checked for these components of media quality, right? If they pass on through every single of this parameter, then only it should be qualified as a quality impression. Otherwise, a brand should not be calling it or categorizing it as an impression that they've served their ad on. So what are those components, right? One is, of course, fraud. Is the ad really been seen by a real human, right? If it's not been seen by a real human, all the actions that are going after that ad also will be compromised, right? Those are non-human actions. Viewability. Is your communication have an opportunity to be seen in first place, right? You don't want to be pushing your communication at places where users are not going to see it, right? Or going to bypass it or going to ignore it. Brand safety, which is becoming really, really critical for all the global brands and large Indian brands as well. Was the content where the ad was served really resonates with my brand values, brand ethos, right? Or am I funding something which I don't stand for? Yeah. And of course, in geo, which is very obvious thing, whether my ad has been delivered in the right target geography or not. It's obvious, right? You don't want to be serving your ad in the target markets, non-target markets, right? So all these four components needs to be looked at in totality and in together for every single impression that you're serving. What historically we have seen is marketers often evaluate quality based on one of these criteria, not all these four criteria together. So some brands will go for viewability optimization or fraud-free inventory or a brand safe inventory and vice versa, right? But does it really help? So imagine a scenario where you have a high viewable impression, but that impression is fraudulent, right? That viewability doesn't matter to you, right? Similarly, it's a fraud-free impression, but it's not viewable, right? Or it's not brand safe, right? That impression again is a waste of media for you. So one impression needs to pass through all these four parameters so that it qualifies as a quality impression for the brand. And obviously, brand, as a marketer, you don't want to be paying for compromised impressions. Fundamentally, you have a basic right to get a quality inventory, right, for the bucks that you're paying. But why it is so critical? So major concerns that marketers want to avoid have changed over a period of time. If you look at 10 years back, the situation was totally different, right? We had hardly few inventory issues with malware, spam, pornography, or out of geo and below the fold, right? But it has evolved significantly with that digital media, right? Now we have social media coming up, we have UGC coming up, right? There is plethora of hate speech, inflammatory content that's going up. Language targeting, so much amount of content that is coming up in India in regional languages, right? How do I identify and make sure my brand is safe in the language space as well? And of course, ad viewability is becoming extremely critical as the spends on videos are growing. How do I ensure that my video spends are justified? How I ensure that I'm paying for what I'm getting and I'm paying for viewable reach and not only the reach and frequency. Yeah. And with that, it's a trend that we've seen of late, right? Where there are influencers who are publicly shaming the brands. They're not afraid of putting their voice up front, right? And these are the cases that we've seen, right? So there are inappropriate conduct from brand ambassador or advertising on inappropriate content where the platforms have been pulled off. And of course, like brand values and products which are not fit to be promoted. Right? We've seen this, and we've seen media and influencers calling out this front end, which gets a spiral effect and snowball effect, right? With all the social media that's at hand. And 10 years ago, it didn't exist. That's why it becomes so critical for us to focus on this aspect. Quickly talking about the study that we spoke briefly about, right? So it's not only for brands, but look at from consumers' perspective also. So 61% of the consumers still feel that despite of fake news, despite of inflammatory content, they still feel that digital ads add value to their life, right? Because of all the technology and personalization that's available. However, 87% of the consumers feel that brands bear the responsibility to ensuring their ads run on adjacent content that is brand safe, that is safe to consume, right? And 2/3 of the respondents, which is very surprising, are ready to move their loyalty if they found that brand is sponsoring something which they shouldn't, right? Or placing their ads on content which they shouldn't be on, right? So that's broadly from consumers' point of view. From brands, right, who have experienced this firsthand, right? So about 75% of the brands have experienced at least one incident of brand safety in past, right? 70% consider brand safety as serious or a very, very serious problem for them. And we all know that why it is the case right now. 47% of the brand professionals agree that they shouldn't be running ads on brand risky content, right? So it's not only the ecosystem, it's the consumers, it's the brands, and is the agencies and the partners who are equally responsible to kind of work out the solution for this. And that's how the marketing leaders' focus is increasingly changing, right? Obviously, leveraging technology is becoming a focus to build in more media efficiencies and reduce media spends so that they achieve their media objectives in a more efficient manner. They're increasingly focusing on protecting and safeguarding brand's reputation by a couple of means. One, not contributing to hateful, harmful content, and not buying media where the brand's ethics and morals are being questioned, and demanding accountability and greater transparency in the quality of media. And that's how the marketers today are moving and focusing more from their media investments and with their stakeholders that are involved in their media rollout. So that's broadly it from the context perspective. And that's where we all are here to discuss how we can build a better industry. Over to you, Satyadeep.
Hey, thanks, Nachiket. This was really, a great presentation, and this rightly sets the context for what we are going to discuss. So before we, really start the Q&A, I would like to request my audiences to feel free to, pose their questions to all our panelists here. And once we are done with the question answer round, we will definitely take those questions and try them get answered by our experts. So moving on, right? We spoke about media quality. We spoke about brand safety. But before we go deep, I really want to come to the brand custodians in my panel today, and really understand what the importance of media quality in the current context, and especially in their brand and sector purview. So coming to Pramod first. Pramod, if you can give us a sneak peek into how media quality is being viewed by your brand and your category at large, and how important it is for you.
Thanks a lot, first of all, and welcome everyone. We have a very good participation, and I'm really thrilled to see that. The topic is interesting. It's very touchy to all marketeers. We are spending so much money on digital media, and we are here I am actually participating in this panel discussion more as to learn, unlearn, and again learn. Okay, and I would be posing more questions than answering few. Okay, and here are few experts who can help. And as Nachiket rightly said, let's build a better industry. My objective is actually that. So when I'm saying posing more questions, it's from the marketeer's domain and whatever I have experienced in my media planning buying life. So I'll break the questions, or the scenario into two parts. One is when you say brand protection, okay, brand protection or technology or fraud are really broad terms. Okay, in banking world, these are extremely, we have to use these words extremely carefully, because fraud in banking world is a different, thing altogether. So I'm restricting our discussion only to the media planning and buying world. Okay. And in the media planning and buying, my first question, or rather a challenge I'm throwing to the publishers or the technology providers and marketeers like us is in the presentation when he said, I'm categorically, I was listening to that presentation and he said 50% of the ad is not seen. Okay, it's exactly like John Wanamaker when he said, 50% ad I'm spending on media, and my 50% is working and 50% is wastage, but I don't know which 50% is wastage, right? So exactly same thing is happening here. 50% ad is not seen, and I see that as a challenge at the media implementation level. So, and digital media behaves like a black box. Okay, you don't know what will you get as an output. So my first challenge is implementation challenge. All of us need to understand this implementation challenge, and as technology providers need to tell us how we can go to a different level of implementation where me as a brand, where I'm measuring my success in different buckets, you as a publisher, you measuring your success in different buckets, and technology providers, you can do the handshake for us, how we can collaborate. So therefore, implementation challenge is my first question. So then, when I'm working for a brand and digital media planning and buying, there are two KPIs. One is brand, the other one is performance. Okay. For brand, you need to have awareness and reach in place. For performance, you look at lead generation and dhanda basically. So how do these two can talk to each other, and how technology providers can help us talking to each other, how I can help performance to grow their numbers and how I can measure that. And secondly, how performance can help brand to grow their awareness scores and how we can measure them. So the second challenge is measurement challenge. In measurement, there are a lot of things. Like for example, simple things like, can I measure if I'm doing a brand campaign? Brands spend a lot of money on creating ads. The ads are like 20-second or 30-second. And if I want to measure success of my ad, I can't measure that on a completed view basis. That's a simple question. At an overall campaign basis, if I want to know reach of my campaign at a completed view level, I can't do that. And at a digital media planning buying, I think that's a very funny challenge. You have all the data, but you still can't measure CPV at a reach level. Okay. Secondly, I'm saying, and the third, therefore the second challenge is measurement challenge. And the third and last, but the most important challenge and a zoomed out view challenge is, we are looking it as from a digital industry point of view, right? But this digital industry, the digital media works with TV, we work with outdoor. How all these media can collaborate with each other? Can we use each media for benefit of other media and do an integrated media planning? And can technology providers over here help us take it to the next level? I have, for example, I give a budget and I get a plan with this integrated media planning where, so it's not only quality and safety or viewability. Okay, it's also what I'm doing, what monies I'm putting on the table, how all these media respond to each other, and therefore a greater role of technology is helping us enabling that. So my third challenge I'm throwing to all of you is integrated planning. So that's my view. Yeah.
Right, Pramod. Since you started with the challenge, posting your challenges, I would want to, come to Nachiket and understand if you would want to take those challenges and address those challenges for Pramod here.
Of course. So some of the challenges, Pramod, definitely can be addressed. Some of the challenges are larger challenges. So, for example, your viewable reach, your viewable impressions across different platforms definitely can be measured in some way or the other. We had this typical issue where each platform has their own way to define viewability and measure and report viewability, right? Which becomes difficult as a planner to then start optimizing your video investments, because one is reporting certain numbers based on certain definition, other one is reporting certain numbers based on certain definition, right? So tools and technologies like DV can help you kind of bring everything on the same page, on the same definition, which is MRC standard definition, or your customized brand definition, which you can set, and start measuring that with all the video matrices that you can. In addition to that, yes, attention economy is shaping up, right? So all your videos now, it's not only about reach views, but it's also about the exposure and attention which it's seeking. So yes, there are solutions, but larger solutions, as you said, cross-platform, cross-media, single window planning. Everybody's that's like a silver bullet for those 50% wastage spends. Which yes, as an industry, I think someday we should be able to achieve that.
Sure. Thanks, Nachiket, for taking that question. And I think, we have some, questions around those challenges, going forward in this talk. So, but before going towards that, I would really want to come to Adil here, right? And understand from HP's point of view, how is this brand looking at the media quality stuff and the perils and the challenges that, we all talked about that are pertaining to in this industry.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I think we have a great audience with 150 plus people. So, I mean, that is the reason I think this topic is so close to everybody's heart, especially digital marketers, because number one, there's a lot of money running behind in terms of advertisement, right? So the first question that comes up is, what is your money going to give you? What's the typical return on ad spends that you get, right? So this is a very touchy topic, and it's pretty natural for everybody to have so many point of views about this particular topic, right? So I'd like to touch upon two things from a brand standpoint, and I was just looking at all the data points that Nachiket shared, before we started talking, and I'm not surprised. You know why? Because brand safety has become the utmost, I would say, and the most critical topic today amongst all the marketeers. Be it digital or non-digital, or even for that matter, the category and the senior management, right? Because it impacts the brand in such a way that nobody comes and tells us, hey, this is the job of the marketing team. They start blaming the brand for it, right? At the moment they start seeing something over there. So we are very, very sensitive with that, right? As HP, we make sure that we don't run after quantity. We are very, very focused on quality. We will do limited number of things. We will reach out to limited number of audiences and reach and utilize limited number of networks to make sure that we were able to fulfill our objective, right? So in fact, we've experienced something really, really terrible in the past, wherein we had to stop all sort of digital marketing activities with a few social media organizations for almost a span of 1 year or so, right? So that's how important it has become. Where we started realizing, all of that started with one screenshot that's been sent by, a journalist in Germany to our CEO, right, globally. So, and that triggered this entire, I would say, this rage of making sure that wherever that you're possibly visible, make sure that you check and you recheck. Who are you working with? Do you have the right, partners in place? Do you have the right content in place? Are you checking those content lists time and again to make sure that your ads are visible on the right content and so on and so forth, right? So that is how it's become really, really important. And I would urge all the marketeers today available on this call to make sure that you're not running after quantity, right? Because it is very easy to have fancy numbers in those Excel sheets that you get after the campaign about X million impressions and Y million views. Trust me, those are just input methods. You put more money and you get more impressions and you get more views, right? So don't run after that. Try and have something which is more meaningful, right? In my view, and I don't know if there's any publisher who really does that, but a quality visit, is that a matrix? A quality view, is that a matrix, right? So I'm not sure if we can buy inventory on the basis of that, right? What we're buying so far is number of visits or number of clicks or number of impressions, right? So that is one thing that I'm really, and as, we discussed in the past also, but I'm not an expert, but I'm throwing it out today to everybody who's on this call about, do you guys have any solution, or do you guys also look at plans the way we are trying to look at it, right? Similarly, on fronts of, why don't we just run after the typical KPIs that everybody else today is utilizing and making sure that when they talk about those KPIs, they call the campaign successful, right? It's great to say you failed, your campaign didn't do well, right? I mean, accept the fact, not all the time you will be able to reach out to all the right target audience. Not all the time you will get the right kind of ROI. Not all the time you'll have the right kind of, click to visit, or people who are landing on your landing page are quality audiences that you can retarget. It's okay, right? It's okay to experiment, but experiment with a way that that you learn something out of it, right? At least you will know what not to do later, right? I mean, that is 100% sure. So at HP, we are very clear about it, right? We are not running after quality. We are not running after quantity. We want quality. We want it in a way that moving forward, any campaign that we do, we can very proudly say that, hey, you know what? We got 10,000 most relevant audiences on our platform that we are sure are going to be loyal to us, and when we retarget them or when we utilize them for any other communication in the future, right? So this is what my point of view is, and I'm all ears to sort of hear any inputs or feedback on this.
Thanks, Adil. I think, it's a very pertinent point, especially when we see the rat race out there, right? The rat race of, getting those numbers, getting those impressions, and the bigger the numbers. And you rightly said, you pump in more money, you will end up with more numbers, but that really doesn't say how successful your campaign really was. We'll build on to that. Before that, I really want to come to Vinod here, right? Vinod, you have been working with, closely with brands across all categories, right? The points that we really heard from Adil as well as Pramod are mostly around the metrics and the measurement metrics and successes around that when it comes to ensuring media quality. How do you see, your partner brands, how are they looking at it holistically from a brand perspective?
Yeah, I guess, first of all, Satyajit and the ET team, thank you very much. Also, special thanks to my fellow panelists, Nachi, Adil, Pramod, a big hi and a thank you for spending a lot of time with all of us. These sessions, I'm sure we all learn a lot, and I'm so in agreement with what Pramod said, right? We're all here to learn. We may have equal amount of questions. Adil mentioned this, that, I'm doing it this way, but I'm open to learn if there is another way. And I'm sure Nachi spoke about global trends and spoke about how the platform works, but I'm sure he's also seen a lot of stuff when he was managing on the agency side, so on and so forth. So all of us are here to learn. But coming back to this, I guess there are 2-3 things which, in fact, as agency and clients, which we generally see, right? And what are these? I'm going back to the slide which Nachi very well stated. This never used to happen 5, 7 years or 10 years back, right? These are all new phenomena which we are also learning with time. And Adil mentioned a very important point that, we had stopped advertising because of something like this happened in the news, and we took a note. And actually this happened globally when all your brands, the bigger brands, all the bigger FMCGs actually stopped advertising, right? So, and it actually started with content providers or publishers which had much of UGC content. I'm just taking a step back before I answer the question, right? And we've all gone through those stages where we used to advertise on your biggest platforms, and we took a break, and the platforms were also, lean forward. They also did a lot of checks at their end. They put a lot of, took out a lot of UGC content, which they saw was not under brand safe guidelines and so on and so forth. With that came third-party verification tools, technology tools to make sure that they can come back to as an agency or a client and tell them, if you're investing X million dollars in your campaign, you need to take a third party which can give you a very neutral view, saying that your campaign is brand safe and less of ad fraud and so on and so forth. As far as the question goes, I guess most of the brands, Satyajit, I have worked with in the past and yet today, especially are concerned about all the four which Nachi mentioned, right? He mentioned ad fraud. He mentioned brand safety. He mentioned, spillage from your geographic targeting. And he mentioned, viewability. These are the four things. I'll go one by one. Viewability. And I'll break this down. In fact, the next time you should have a publisher or a content provider also as part of your panel, because there is an agency, there is a client, there is a verification company. We should have a content provider or a publisher and hear from them also, but that's for next time, just a suggestion. So what did they do? If you see viewability on, I'll break this down. If I see viewability on OTTs, it's 95, 98% viewable, right? If I see the same thing on YouTube, lagbhag, same percentage. The issue comes when we are talking about networks, affiliates, and a larger ecosystem, which you and me are not maybe exposed to on URL to URL basis, right? These are smaller sites, a network combines them, gives us audience clusters, and hence we advertise. With these people, if we have a platform like, since Nachi is an old friend, let's say Double Verifier, and which it then enables us as marketeers or agencies to go back and make a media plan, which would be easily acceptable to us. I'm not saying 100%. Nachi, don't kill me for this, but there will never be 100%, right? There will always be a 0.05 or 0.5 or whatever percentage of doubt will always be. But we'll have to take that. The other thing also, I guess, when it comes to, brand safety and ad fraud, it's up to us. I think Pramod made a very valid point. In fact, he asked a very valid question when he talked about performance. Bottom of the funnel, right? Upper funnel, I understand there are videos, there are set benchmarks, we can work around, but bottom of the funnel. Now, bottom of the funnel, the client is very clear about their business KPIs. Bottom of the funnel is for me for lead generation or for acquisition or for registration or for transaction, depending on the category, whether it's a BFSI, whether it's a consumer durable, so on and so forth, or an e-commerce. How do I manage that there are no bots in the system? How do I manage that the money which I'm spending is actual money where I'm getting my media efficiencies from, right? That's something which is very important. And Pramod, I really feel that technology like this, right? We as agencies and marketeers will maybe want to share a small percentage because there's a tech cost to it. Like we all understand this system, how it works, but we should go ahead and spend that, sir, because I firmly believe that that tech cost can actually protect 15-20% of my media investments, if you know what I'm saying, right? That safeguards me. And hence, Pramod, your cost per lead or cost per acquisition or transaction, whatever media KPIs and metrics you're doing can be safeguarded through this. The other thing, Pramod, you asked about as an integrated plan. It is so much today a requirement from every marketeer, Pramod. You hit the nail as a question on the head. That's an agency question. And I'll take that upon myself as an agency because I'm the only agency on the forum. That's why. But I'm sure other agency groups also have these kinds of solutions, right? We have a planning tool, Pramod, which allows me to give you a reach at a frequency and an incremental reach across offline and online? I think that's your question. अगर आज मैं मीडिया खरीद रहा हूं ऑफलाइन और अगर आज मैं डिजिटल वीडियोस खरीद रहा हूं ऑनलाइन, how do I know whether there is duplicate audiences? How do I know whether I'm reaching incremental audiences or not? What's my effective and efficient way of reaching these people? So as an agency, we have that tool which gives me an incremental reach when I do television at OnePlus or television at 50 at OnePlus, 60 at 3Plus, plus when I show you online audiences, your incremental reach, sir, how it performs at OnePlus and 3Plus, the languages which we as marketeers understand from a television parlance as well, right? On the bottom of the funnel, I guess we need to be very clear and checks and balances at every level. And what do I mean? When I take a campaign live, and if I have a third-party verification company, they will automatically give me triggers on affiliates, on larger networks, which will say that I don't think so there is anything performing from here. You may be investing, you may have bought them thinking they are cheap, but your conversion is so bad that your cost per lead or cost per acquisition on other higher CPMs are far lesser than these affiliates, if I'm making sense, right? That's why I'm saying, जब हम campaign start करते हैं, if you have third-party companies with you, yes, there is an added cost, like I mentioned, but it's always helpful. And I've seen that in the past, it has worked for clients. Adil made a very valid point when he said that rather than running behind quantity, it is always better to run behind quality. It's okay not to have 1 lakh leads. I'm happy with having 10,000 leads, but my conversion is that much more better. It actually depends across categories, right? Adil, you are absolutely right when it comes to categories like banking and finance, categories like, yourself, OEMs, categories like, but sometimes it also thinks about categories which are smaller ticket size categories. I mean, consumer durables, I mean, consumer tech, which is OTTs. Your monthly subscription is $30, $40. It's okay to have quantity because wahan pe aapka conversion ka jo, what do you say, the volumes are so high, you'll have 500,000, 1 million leads at 30 rupees conversion. That is something which is absolutely a different category for itself. Hence, maybe over there, a volume could be necessary. But coming back, I think we are in this forum where we're talking about all the 4 things which Nachi spoke. And as an agency, I completely second the thought. But as an agency, I also have a question which says that whenever we go as an agency and we make presentations to our clients, and clients always have their questions, and rightly so, I need partnerships from publishers as well as third-party verification companies to also put a skin in the game. And I'll tell you what I mean. The advertisers and clients are putting their skin in the game by saying that this is my ad dollars, spend wisely, and make sure that all my KPIs are tick mark. Absolutely right. Agency can make a plan and show that, okay, as an agency, I will make sure it's your monies and ad dollars are spent wisely. And this is what the program looks like. And this is your KPI with mid-campaign analysis, post-campaign analysis, so on and so forth. As publisher and verification, that's why I said publishers should have been here, but as publisher and verification companies, they also should take a skin in the game saying that I'm charging you for my technology or my content, but you know what? If you don't get an added response, I'm ready to give you that much more value add, because unless and until you believe in your product, you will not be able to be more measurable. And I'm connecting this point with Pramod's point because he mentioned measurability. Very, very critical and important. आज टीवी को हम बोलते हैं measurability नहीं है because वहां पे measurability, whatever is there or not there. But digital as a medium we've grown with is measurable. Hence advertisers are asking for it. There's nothing wrong. And hence skin in the game is necessary. that's what I would like to, conclude this question. I'm sorry, Satyajit, I'm taking a lot of time of everybody, but I hope I made sense to all. Thank you.
Of course. You made a very pertinent point about measurability, and the entire 4 points that Nachiket shared. So staying on to this measurability part, Pramod also mentioned, Adil also mentioned in his this one. I mean, in his opening remarks. So Nachiket, this question is to you, right? I really wanted to ask you, right? Are the current measurability metrics that marketers and agencies are referring to when it comes to media quality checks, right? Are they really flawed now? What's the point? Because I think there are concerns around measurability and metrics that we have heard from all our panelists.
I would say it's flawed. I would perhaps say that it needs to be more mature. Right? There are metrics available, but historically, the way digital has been sold and bought and measured on needs to be moved somewhere, right? So, for example, Adil and Pramod mentioned that VT as well, right? You have campaigns where you are driving visits, right, to the landing page, but nobody knows where those visits are coming from, right? Nobody knows. Especially programmatic, which is a totally black box, right? Nobody knows where that visit is a bot visit or it's a real human visit. Nobody knows that. Whether that visit will have no bounce rate or will spend 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 1 minute on the landing page. We have those matrices, but we don't know whether that visit is a genuine or not. We are not measuring that. We are measuring number of clicks that are delivered in a plan, right? My KPI is deliver X number of clicks. But is my KPI really, is that click a human click, right? Am I ensuring that those clicks are human clicks or not? Am I ensuring that those clicks that are coming from an adult content site, or it's coming from a proper news content site where my brand ethos have not been compromised, right? Similarly, if you look at video plans today, right, as VT pointed out, you have, so we all know the plan stacks up like you have two large platforms where you spend your perhaps 80-90% of the money, and then you have 10% of your money which is parked towards OTT or larger long tail bites, right? Now, between them also, you can't measure viewability as I was talking earlier, right? A particular platform will measure it basis their own definition, and they will report, say, 90% viewability. Somebody else will measure basis their own methodology and report 95, 80, 70% viewability. So what we have seen is our customers, so it's a case study, right, where they were optimizing on view-through rate, VTR, and number of views that they've gotten, right? So a particular publisher was charging much lesser CPM, okay? But their viewability was equally bad. Other publishers, CPM was high, viewability was high, but they were not in a position to compare apple to apple because the publisher that was charging lesser CPM, their definition of viewability was totally different. So eventually, both the platforms couldn't have been compared apple to apple, and the one with lesser CPM always used to score, right? Now they have a platform where they started using Double Verify, or I mean, just for the sake of brand mention, but they started using Double Verify. Now they have set up their own viewability definition, and they started measuring video viewability KPIs across one single definition across all platforms. And what they found out is, while the CPMs are pretty low for that particular publishers, the viewable CPM and viewable reach, which should be the ultimate KPI, because you are buying videos, you want your users, your consumers to see that video, at least for 1 second and 50% of the screen on time, which is MRC definition, right? So if you follow that definition, the viewable reach and viewable CPM for the publisher, which was charging much lesser CPM, was far higher, right? But before they deployed Double Verify, they were optimizing their spends on that particular publisher without knowing that their viewable CPM costs are extremely high, despite of CPM being low, right? So these are some of the cases where you need to really align what you want to measure. You can't be measuring clicks and CTR if you're buying videos. And similarly, you can't be measuring impressions and etc. if you're buying visits and clicks. And of course, when you're buying, as VT was pointing out, right, for your bottom of the funnel campaigns, it's extremely critical to go beyond your vanilla matrices, right? Number of leads, number of quality leads, right? Because now we know that bots can fill the leads, bots can fill the forms, right? Bots can do one acquisition, right? We all know that. But have we gone beyond that? Have we gone and seen the customer lifecycle value? Yes, some of the evolved advertisers they do that. But what the media quality does is it kills that whole process right from the first exposure, right? If your first exposure itself is not compromised, if the first exposure itself ensures that you are reaching to a human in a viewable environment, in a brand safe environment, then obviously the actions that are following through will be a quality action, right? And then you have to have, click fraud technologies, impression fraud technologies that needs to be deployed. And this will be demonstrated in terms of the value that's been delivered to you, right? Especially for programmatic buys, right? So programmatic buys, we call it pre-bid avoidance. So what pre-bid avoidance does is, if you are buying, say, via one of the DSPs, you have two options. One is to go buy, select your audience, select your segments and run campaigns, right? But you never know whether that impression is again, fraudulent impression, brand safe impression, or a viewable impression, right? Now, if you use technology, you can literally avoid impressions that are fraudulent impressions, that are non-brand safe impressions, that are non-viewable impressions. So you are not paying for those impressions that you were paying earlier, right? Where you never used technology before. And that's where you really see the dollar impact that's coming in, right? You really see the dollars that you have saved and how it has been delivered from ROI perspective. So you can really plow back that money in your media spend. And as VT was saying, that's how you kind of use the technology. And we call it an investment. We don't call it a budget. We don't call it a spend, because that investment yields into long-term ROI.
Correct. I think, I see a hand raised by Vinod. So, we can take his question.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think Adil has also raised his hand so quickly. I just wanted to add what Nachi mentioned, right? He mentioned a very valid point that there are some publishers which were always getting selected because of their CPM value. And there are some but their viewability was very low. And there were some publishers which their viewability was very high and hence their CPM. I think as an industry, and this may not be a topic for today, but I'm just putting it out there. I think as an industry, and I'd spoken this earlier a year or two back, we need to encourage viewability-based trading. What happens in that? Everyone is responsible for what they deliver for my client. If you are a very high viewable publisher with great brand safety standards in your right geography where I'm supposed to show and the right audience, I don't mind paying you an extra premium for that inventory versus you are going to take my ad and push it anywhere in the internet world and charge me an X market rate, which doesn't make sense for me at all. But this is an industry-wide thing, if you know what I'm saying, right? There are large advertisers, there are large agencies, there are large third-party measurement companies, and there are publishers, which needs to come together and acknowledge that yes, there may be a premium for inventory, but we don't pay even market rates for a non-premium or a non-viewable inventory, because there is inventory is perishable, right? They are ready to sell it at whatever and show wherever the ads. I'm not interested. You charge me a rate, no problem, but that should be my audience, which I'm talking about. I just wanted to add that thing that viewability-based trading maybe is as an industry we need to mature to. That's just all. Sorry, Adil, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Adil, I'll just take a minute. Sorry, just because we are on this topic. So, VT, some of our customers are actually using this as a currency, right? It's not happening at an industry level, which I agree with you. But the buying strategies are being changed now. That's what we're seeing globally, right? The buying strategies are moving towards the quality of the media, right? towards if it's video, then it's viewability. If it's they need to meet certain level of brand safety, they need to meet certain level of viewability. And then there are, of course, incentives and penalties that have been imposed. But that's a discussion right now happening at a client level between client and publisher. It's not happening at an industry level, I'm sure. But yes, the agencies are trying to adopt this metric. Some of the clients are trying to adopt this metric, which is very valid. Sorry, Adil.
Yeah, over to Adil. Adil,
no problem. I think so. I just want to ask a question, and this is purely from the brand's point of view, right? I think VT, spoke about something really beautiful about having a similar skin in the game, right? Shared responsibility from the publishers and the partners' point of view, right? I mean, be it the agency or other third-party verification players, right? And then we went to Nachiket, and Nachiket spoke about we should buy inventory. We should make sure that, it's in the right frame of mind, whether it's you buying the right impressions or not. My question is there any publisher who's ready to return my money if it does not perform, right? Is there anybody who's available? Because see, all these things, all these check marks are from the brand's point of view right now. Brand should buy in the safe environment. Brand should buy the right impression. Brands should buy the right clicks. Is there any publisher who's ready to be in the game, as VT said, and I love it, okay, who says, if the campaign will not perform, I will return back the money to the brand because it is my platform. I'm equally a part of the campaign. I'm equally a part of the brand's, stand here, and I'm ready to give my 100%. If it performs, great. This is how it's typically happening. It's performed. The world gets to know about the agency. The world gets to know about the publisher and says, this publisher and this agency is fantastic, right? But if it does not perform, because at the end of the day, it's all money, I mean, that's about it. That's the start and end of it, right? So is there any publisher who says, if it does not perform, I will return X amount of your money because it was me who decided to run your campaign on my platform and it did not do, it did not sort of fulfill the objective. So that is a question out in the open. I don't have an answer for it, but yeah, since I heard, and these are beautiful words and I'll always remember it, but this is the reason that I just wanted to ask this question that, is there somebody out there who says, hey, you know what? Here you go, 20% of your money back because it did not perform.
Adil, if you, Satyajit, if you allow me 2 minutes, I'd like to answer Adil. I don't know whether I am the right person to answer Adil because I'm not a publisher, but let's understand this from an ecosystem perspective because we only are here. So Adil, I understand where you're coming from, and as a client, you will definitely jump into something where if the inventory is not performs, because there is a skin in the game, you've agreed to that as a business, and please tell me to return the monies. The other way also, Adil, is maybe it's not money returning, maybe giving me those kind of quality leads which you captured or you signed at the start of the campaign, which means give me more inventory, valuable inventory, and inventory which is not ad fraud or brand safety with all the ticks which we are talking today, right? That is one. But Adil, ek aur cheez hai. From our end, from an agency and a client end is also a responsible, because there is no publisher here, but we also can't take our responsibility out. And which is what? Which is one, we should have very clear matrix and say why this publisher is not performing versus other publishers have performed well with numbers. I hope you agree to that. Number one. Number two, I think as an agency, I should also try and differentiate why other publishers' inventory has performed well. When I say well, I'm talking about only bottom of the funnel, like Pramod sir had mentioned. My media matrix are bottom of the funnel. Tell me what my measurement should be. As an agency, I should be able to very clearly articulate to publisher A, aapka nahi chala hai, but publisher B and C has definitely given me higher. Hence, if you want to be part of the media plan, you will need to make sure your skin in the game is equal. And number three, Adil, if I'm paying, and this is just a thought, if I'm paying X to a publisher A, I'm paying X++ to publisher B and X++ to publisher C. But if I'm telling publisher A to be having skin in the game, then there should be media parity as well. When I hope you agree to that as well. So I'm saying it's a joint responsibility, but skin in the game currently on digital has to be got from the publisher end. I at least as an agency, I'm clear, and I'm sure both of my clients over here should agree. And Nachi is only good because as a third party, measurement company, he'll be neutral. And that's the beauty of it, right? Why do we not want a third party from a Google or a Facebook? Because we don't want a player and the umpire from the same team. We obviously want a neutral player which will also tell us facts. There is no gray. There is only white and black, right? So I guess that's why I said technology mein investment thoda sa karna zarurat hai, because that's what we do. You take DV360, aren't we paying platform charges because we want to buy audiences? Similarly, I think this is an investment which we as agency and clients should definitely take a note of.
Correct. Before we move on to the audience questions, I think we are really running out of time here. I saw Pramod raising his hand. So I know that it's a very intriguing topic, and we all have a lot of thoughts around it. Pramod, if you can quickly sound your thoughts.
Yeah. So rather than thoughts, again, I'm posing a question, and it's related to the base topic. You're saying we are talking about frauds and implementing the campaigns, and I want to understand as an advertiser, when we do campaigns, typically our process is what? We give brief to agencies, agencies work on the plan, they share the plan to us, then we do pre versus post, all implementation happens, okay? So in all this process, okay, yes, we speak about viewability, we speak about no fraud happening and all that, but all execution controls are with agency, and agency have their own mandates, audit process and all that. But frankly, there is nothing at the client's end except we telling you don't do that or don't do this. We don't have any control. So my question here is, what do you think that client should do, at their end to take, to safeguard themselves? Because we are at the mercy of agencies and publishers. So what do we do really? I mean, where are we? That's one. Secondly, slightly, Vinod has touched upon this topic, and there's an elephants in the room, which is Google and Facebook. Okay, so and mostly we spend on those platforms. So how do we manage these elephants? Because if there's something happening there, how as a client we should take? How do we even know about that? If someone complains, that's a different thing. Social media, you get to know. But how about these two platforms? How do we really manage these two platforms? And third is industry currency, digital industry currency. I think Vinod slightly spoke about it, but I think that's need of an hour. And or digital would move to outdoor media kind of direction where we don't have any directional currency. And slowly we are spending so much money. In 2025, I think digital will overtake TV. So where are we in terms of measurement? So this more three questions. Sorry, over to you, and we'll answer question and answers.
Sure. Before moving on to the audience, Nachiket, you would want to take those questions from Pramod?
Again, questions from Pramod. No, I think valid questions. And first and foremost, I wouldn't say that, Pramod, you are at mercy of agency and publishers. I think they are the partners. I've spent considerable amount of my time with agencies, and we know how we partner with clients. So don't worry, you are in safe hands. It is here. And I think, see, as I spoken, if you remember my orange slide, I said that it's never intentional, right? Nobody wants to, a publisher will never want to sell you a non-brand safe inventory or a fraudulent inventory. Similarly, an agency will never want to say a fraudulent click, right? It's not intentional, but it happens because there are bad elements out there who are just taking the pie of the budgets and the money, right? And the job is how we can kill them, right? That's number one. Number two, when it comes to ensuring that how clients can secure their investments, I think it's as it perhaps will be repetitive, but use technologies, right? And I'm not talking only about DV, but there are multiple technologies available to give you enough transparency and boost for your spends. Of course, it's not foolproof, but at least it will not kill your sleep in the night, right? And it needs to be looked at as an investment. Again, it's not an expense, it's not a budget exercise, it's an investment, and the agency and the partner should be able to demonstrate the value that's been delivered for that investment, right? That's pretty much out there. And we particularly, I take pride in that because we do that with our clients, and that's why our clients are with us for so many years. Because we tend to demonstrate how we are helping and how we are delivering and securing your media space, right? So there are ways and means to do that. Sorry, I missed one question.
So measurement one. Yeah.
Measurement, right? So
Industry
again, industry currency, which Adil also touched upon briefly, right? So industry currency at one place, right? But as a client, I have seen cases where clients are using DV data to change their buying strategies, to strike deals with the publishers basis the quality parameters. They are incentivizing publishers if they're delivering above the KPI. They're penalizing publishers if they're not meeting the KPIs. But again, it's entirely right now between an individual client and an individual publisher. You can use this technology because it is MRC certified, and nobody can question the validity or the methodology of the technology, right? Because then they're questioning MRC. So whoever the publisher is, I have seen publishers giving value adds. I have seen publishers not charging for impressions which are reported as non-brand safe or non-viewable. That has happened, and now it's been going to the second level where trading agreements are getting signed basis, these KPIs. So that is happening at an industry level. When it happens, I think collectively all of us need to work towards that. Endeavor for all of us, including all the publishers, is to make better industry as what our mission is. And yeah, I think all the stakeholders, if we come together and work towards it, someday we should be able to achieve it.
Great. So on that note, we are really running out of time. I'll just open the floor for a couple of questions. We have some very interesting questions coming up from the audience. So I'll take the first question, and anyone from my panel of experts can really attempt to answer this. Someone from the audience is asking us to share a few digital media effectiveness measurement tools, and are there any benchmark which is similar to what we have for the offline media? So maybe Vinod can answer that if he wants to take it up.
Sure. I guess today there are different measurement tools which different people are adopting. If you can be more specific when you say measurement tools, do you mean measurement tools like DV just showed us when it comes to across areas of ad fraud, viewability, brand safety, targeting, or I'm sorry?
Media effectiveness tools, that is measurement tools.
So I guess on media effectiveness, it all depends on how you're trying to make sure that the campaign is executed, right? Do you have a third-party partner? And with that third-party partner, how can you make sure that your trading, your ad frauds are out? How good is your buying? How good is your trading so that your media efficiencies are there? Use the right kind of DSPs because it talks about efficiencies at an audience level and not talking about only at, gone are the days when we used to say that male 25 plus, only metros. You now talk about a brief which is, people who are seen in international airports having a 35,000-40,000 rupee handset, traveled international. That's the kind of brief, because then you're talking audience out rather than publisher out. So, and if you want to make a plan, then media efficiency tools are definitely there, but it depends on what you want to use and agency to agencies. Yeah, I've seen agencies having different kinds of tools to prove media effectiveness, to prove brand measures being shifted, to prove sales lift studies being done. So enough amount of tools are there in the market, which can be used today to go back to the client and present what their exact KPIs are.
Yeah, thanks, Vinod. Moving on to the next question, I think this is directed to Nachiket on that. The question asks that there 65% of the Indian population is under 35 years, right? So what are the most difficult challenges when it comes to social media, social media post 2021 from the digital interactivity standpoint?
Wow, that's a very complex question. And we need to look at it from two aspects, right? One is the content consumption by these young adults, right? And it's not only social media; it's the whole content that's getting generated, right? It's be it social media or be it fake news, the clickbaits that are going out. So, what kind of content that is available to consume to the young adults, and which is perhaps shaping their future and shaping their behavior, right? Which is a very a critical question that one needs to answer, and it's a very larger level. Second is the emergence of social media and availability of content production and content creation avenues with the young adults, right? With all the apps that are out there, which is another. I wouldn't say problem, right? It's typical to any technology, right? Technology can be abused or can be used well. So it's something that we need to look at from content consumption, content generation perspective, and the platforms needs to be extremely what do you call it? They need to take the responsibility to moderate that content, right? While third parties like us will ensure that the brands are safeguarded against appearing in non-brand safe videos, which will be posted. But that's only one part of this whole social media ecosystem, right? It's perhaps, I would say, a very small part because it's only a brand. It's a brand, but there are repercussions for the entire generation which is happening. So from brands perspective, yes, platforms, and I see platforms doing that, but that's not their perhaps core expertise. That's where third-party measurement companies like us come to the play and safeguard brand investments. We work very closely with all social platforms to ensure that the brands are not appearing against the content that's getting generated, which is harmful for the brands, and of course the major other parts of the performance parameters. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think you addressed the answer well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are really running short of time. I can see a lot of questions, a lot of pertinent questions coming for all of our panelists. But maybe we can request you all to touch base with them offline, and maybe they can take out some time and answer your questions. Before we end, just
a last request, Satyajit, if your team can copy the questions that we have, we will email the responses back to the audiences.
Sure thing. We'll generate those responses for you. So before we end, I would really like to thank all my panelists here, Adil, Vinod, Pramod, Nachiket, for taking out time. This 1 hour has been really intriguing, and I can see how important this topic is for both all my panelists as well as my audience here. I'm sure we have just scratched the surface, and there is a huge sea out there which you can surely we'll look into address it more effectively in the in the coming sessions. Thank you everyone for joining us today and making this an enriching experience. Until next time, stay tuned to ET Brand Equity. Thank you so much.